I just turned my 95 GMC Suburban into a Rolls Royce. Well, not exactly. I made it sound like on the inside like a Rolls Royce. Okay, not exactly that either, but hey, I'm getting there. What's going on, guys? I'm Jimmy with One Road here on YouTube, and before we go any further, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe if you're not already. Today we're installing this KILMAT 80mm sound deadening material to the inside of my 95 GMC Suburban. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but every time I researched the material, I just thought, man, that's a little too expensive. Luckily, we have Amazon. On Amazon, I found this product called KILMAT. I'll leave a link down in the description below, and this stuff is supposed to rival the big names in the business. If you go ahead and read the reviews, it has excellent reviews, which is why I chose to buy it. Like I said, I bought the 80mm stuff. They do sell a 50mm also, and by the way, mil does not stand for millimeters. Mil is an actual unit of measure. So 80 mils is 0.08 of an inch. Basically. Now, I only bought one box, which covers 36 square feet. In the box, there's 34 total sheets, and each measures about 10 by 16. I also bought this ribbed roller for applying the mat. This thing got really good reviews, and I have to concur. If you look closely at the mat itself, the top foil layer has these little bubbles in it. Those bubbles are there so you'll know where you've pressed and where you haven't. Having a roller with ribs helps in that regard also. So why did I want to do this? Well, for a couple of reasons. This is a 95. It's got the GM 5.7 liter V8 under the hood. It's also got a Flowmaster exhaust. With that combination, it gets a little loud in the cab. So I wanted to quiet down the overall cab sound. Also, by applying it in the door skin, I wanted to make my music sound better, especially from the brand new speakers that I just put in. So nothing left to do but to get started. Now that I have the door panel off, I've located a few access ports from the factory. You can see I taped up this piece of plastic here that was folded down over these two access ports. And with that up out of the way, you can see I have plenty of room in here to work. I also removed the speaker, which gives me lots and lots of room to work over here too. Also, I'm not looking for 100% coverage here. I'm just gonna cover as much as I can get, and I'm gonna do the same thing over here behind the speaker. The first step though, now that everything is disassembled and out of the way, is to clean the interior of that outer door skin. To do that cleaning, I'm just gonna use some rubbing alcohol soaked into a microfiber towel and just wipe the inside down the best I can. There is quite a bit of dirt in here, so this is going to really help that KILMAT to adhere to the door skin and not ever come off. Just wiping down everywhere that I think I would be applying. I was able to fold one of the sheets up to get it inside this hole, and I just wanted to see how it would fit, and it looks like it's going to be really, really good. I can put one here, another one right next to it, maybe cut one of the sheets in half to cover this area here, and I'll probably put a whole sheet behind the speaker here. And for this passenger side front door, that should be good. Looking inside the door, this is the top half of the door, and you can see there's a lot of bracketry in there. There's really no way to get any other material up there anyway. So I think just this area that I have access to is going to be really all I could do, even if I pulled this whole metal panel off. Okay, so now comes the tricky part, and that is to remove the material off the back, get this stuck in the right place, and not screw it up, essentially. So I think I'm just going to start with one end. Hopefully you can see inside there how far I was able to get it over against the very, very corner of the door. Okay, so now the KILMAT is positioned properly. I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling the rest of the backing off. And that is as simple as grabbing the backing material and just pulling it off. Try to work out any of the bubbles. We don't want any bubbles in this. For example, we do have a bit of a ridge right here. So I'm just kind of using my thumb and fingers to get this thing pressed all the way up in the groove of this ridge. I'll come back with the roller afterwards, but the initial press in, I just want to get as much of the air out of it and as planted as I can get this material. The next step is to take this roller and just roll the entire piece so that it's completely flat and we don't see any more of these little bubbles in the foil material. Now, obviously working in a very confined space like this, it's going to be hard to really do this accurately. So I'm just doing the best I can do to get this pressed in as much as I can, and I'll probably try different methods of using this roller just to get everything really pressed in. Doesn't have to look pretty, just has to be installed. And that's what I'm doing right now. And just like that, our first piece is completely pressed in and installed. The roller has been everywhere it can be. And I use this tool here, which is just a nylon trim tool I got from Harbor Freight, to really get in the tight areas and press everything down. So I didn't have to use my fingers and my skin. I could use the skin of this tool, and it really helped a lot, especially getting back in those tight spaces back there where the roller won't go. All right, I'm rocking and rolling, guys. I now have my second sheet installed, and it goes all the way down to the bottom pretty much. I wanted to leave a little gap there for the water. I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard to press this stuff in with that roller. It takes a lot of time just to get your hand in the proper position to get that roller to work right. All in all, it seems to be going really good, and I still have to make my 4-inch piece for up there, and I also have to put in another piece over here behind the speaker. All right, well, let's look inside. Looking all around, we can see that we do have 100% coverage, even though I said I wasn't going for that. There is some bracketry there that I was talking about earlier, and so I installed the KILMAT all the way up to the bottom of that. And at this point, we have 100% coverage on this lower half of the door. Looking in this right side of the door, you can see we have the same situation, 100% coverage from top to bottom, all the way down. I did leave a little gap on the bottom just for the water channel. I'm just gonna try to show you what this sounds like by tapping on it. If I tap on the metal here, you can hear the difference. So let's hear what it sounds like on the outside of the door. So here's the top portion of the door that's unprotected. And here's the bottom portion of the door that is protected. Unprotected. Protected. Okay, so the front passenger door is done. All right, another day here, and you can see I'm working on this driver's side front door. I just got done tearing everything apart, and I also cleaned the inside out with alcohol, so everything is ready to go. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys, in order to get this KILMAT sheet, which is pretty big, inside of this door panel, what I'm doing is actually kind of rolling it up somewhat into a roll like this. I can get it in there, and I can unwrap it and then basically place it where I need it to be. So taking a look here inside this speaker hole, you can see I've placed my first piece, and I just kind of shoved it all the way back as I could get it. And again, as far down as I really wanted it. And then you just stick it on. This stuff sticks really good. Also, I'm using my arm to reach in this back hole here and be able to reach through and stick this piece down. Just doing the best I can do, and it seems to be working out pretty well. So now that I have my first piece laid, I can work off of that to get the rest of it. I'll go ahead and place 2 more sheets here, and then I'll line the rest of the top, which is about a 4-inch section. All right, I think we're done with this driver's side front door. Everything pressed down the very, very best I could. We have almost 100% coverage on this lower half of the door. Now that I have the doors finished, I have to work on removing the 2 front seats and this center console. So I started with the center console, and it's fairly simple. We have a center section here, the big pocket that just pops right out, and there's 2 screws, and hopefully this is all I need to do, and this thing should just slide right out. Yep, there we go. Just got to remove my CB radio. Like that, and this thing is out of there. And now we can see just what this vehicle looks like with no center console. Actually kind of looks cool. Like, there's a lot of room in here. Obviously you need a center console, but hey, guess what I just found? This flashlight that I was looking for, this pick, and one of my million lost Burt's Bees chapsticks, which I'm stoked about. And after that center console, I'm gonna work on this passenger side front seat, which there's just 4 15mm bolts. Well, that seat is ready to go. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Where do I put it. So that's nasty. Wow, this is not from me, guys. This is from the original owner. That's gnarly. Someone must have spilled a Coke or something in here. Now that I have the seat removed, the center console removed, and everything ready to go, I took all this trim out, everything over here. Now I can really just grab this carpet and start yanking it back and really getting a sense for how hard or easy this job is going to be. This is the wiring that goes to my CB radio. And of course the carpet is backed by some rubber. So it's probably already doing a pretty good job of sound isolation, but I think we can do better. I now have everything out and the carpet pulled back. And just as I suspected, this truck is in impeccable condition. So let's take a listen to the floor before. As you would suspect, this is a very thin layer of sheet metal and it sounds extremely hollow. The first step is to clean off the surface with some alcohol. Just gonna go ahead and apply some alcohol to my rag here and then just start at the top and give it a good wipe down. Now that we have all this white paint cleaned off, no oils, I'm gonna go ahead and start laying my first sheet of KILMAT, and I think it's just gonna go something like that. So I got the backing peeled off. We're basically just gonna do our best, making sure we're filling in any cracks and crevices. And after that, of course, we're gonna take our roller and just start rolling it on. Luckily, I actually have some room to work here, so this is much easier than it was when I was doing the doors. Of course, I had a lot of prep work to get everything out in order to be able to get to this point, but this application process is much more simple. I've shown these tools before. I picked up from Harbor Freight. I think the whole kit was about $10. They're nylon trim removal tools. I think it came with maybe a pack of 7 different pieces, but these things are invaluable. Look at the end there. It's all rounded completely, and it's so good for these ridges that I have in the metal. You can see this ridge here, and this roller is just too squared off. It won't get in there, but I can perfectly get in there with this, press it down, and that is nice and tight along that edge on both sides, and then I can come back over and smooth that over with that or with the roller again if I wanted. And just like that, we have the entire passenger side and transmission hump done. It has taken me a little bit of time just to get all the little cracks and crevices, the pieces that aren't exactly square. I'm using a punch like this in order to get my holes back. You can see here where the seats mount, and I am just about to start on that driver's side. You can see how much material I have left, which is quite a bit. It's a new day, which is now the 3rd day that I've been working on this sound deadening. Basically, I just wanted to get the whole front, driver's area deadened, and I was able to accomplish that with just 1 box of this sound deadener. I put the carpet back, and that is because I finished the entire front flooring area. I was able to get this KILMAT all the way up as far as I could go on the firewall, on both the passenger and driver's seat area, and over the transmission hump. I went all the way back to this pillar right here on both sides. So we have a line about here forward that's completely sound deadened. Not to mention we did the bottom half of both front doors, and I'm really stoked right now, guys. This is something that I've always wanted to do. Driving these older vehicles, they're notoriously loud inside. So how do we get this road noise and engine noise to go away? And that is to use this sound deadener material. Of course, it's been around forever. It's just, being able to come out and rip your seats out, rip your center console out, rip your carpet back and all the wiring. It's a big process. It really is. You can see the KILMAT under here. You can see the KILMAT back here. This is the rear seat bolt for the passenger. Basically, the KILMAT goes right up to this hump right here and all the way forward. And like I was saying, this is the KILMAT 80 mil. So if this doesn't get me some sound deadening, nothing will. And you can see what we have left in the box here. We have probably half of a piece and 1, 2, 3 more. So we have about 3.5 pieces left after all that. We started off with 34 sheets, which was 36 square feet. Okay, so this Suburban is 4-wheel drive, and there's this cover here that goes where the shift knob goes. In order to be able to take this cover off, I had to remove the shifting knob, which was a situation like that. If you look here, this actually gets illuminated when you're in 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. So pulling the bulbs out, I noticed that they are the old style bulb. And I just so happen to have some LEDs that will replace these perfectly. If you look at these LEDs, they are the perfect size to replace this old bulb without taking up any extra room and actually being a little slimmer. I have both bulbs replaced, and let's go ahead and crank it on and make sure it works, and there we go. You can see that it works. All right. This forward bulb will illuminate when the 4-wheel drive is active, but the majority of the time, this rear bulb will be on when the lights are on. Got to get these seat belts bolted back in. And just like that, through the magic of editing, everything is put back together. All the carpet has been rolled out and flattened out. The seats are in, the seat belts are in, center console's in, and everything is working like it should. I'm super stoked, guys. I can't wait to take this thing out and drive it and see if we lowered some of the overall sound inside the cab while the vehicle is running down the road, idling, all that good stuff. I gotta say, there is a difference. Absolutely 100% there is a difference. But it's not like a crazy, world shifting difference. There is a difference. I'm very, very happy that I did this, and I'm going to finish the rest of the truck. One thing I can tell you for sure is that the music, now with the sound deadener in the doors, sounds incredibly better. My speakers are able to put off a lot more bass than they were before. It seemed like the bass and everything was just kind of getting lost, I don't know, inside the door. And now I'm able to hear a lot more of the thump from my speakers. So that's always, always good. It does sound a lot more crystal clear too. Again, I know there's somewhat of this placebo effect that I could be dealing with. I'm trying very hard to not let that be the case. I know that this is deadening a lot of the sound that I would normally get from my front tires and from the motor. What's strange is now I can tell that a lot of the sound I'm hearing is coming from the back, basically the area that's not sound deadened. That's really interesting to me. I can hear a lot of noise coming from the back, which is mainly my muffler and stuff like that. And up here, it does sound a lot more quiet. It really, really does. Now for something that is very disappointing. Okay, so look, I got this sound level meter at a garage sale a while back. It's by Radio Shack. It's fairly old, but it's in brand new condition. I changed the battery out just to make sure that everything was nice and good to go. And this thing works great. I even read the instructions to make sure that I was using it properly. Among the many settings, there are 2 on here called waiting. And there's waiting A and waiting C. And from what I was able to read in the instructions, waiting A was pretty much typical of what our human ear hears, and waiting C was a lot broader of a spectrum, so a lot more lows and more highs. So before, when I took the meter reading, it was weighted at C and not A. I thought that's what I should be using because it covered a broader spectrum of sound. However, I don't think that's correct because it's gathering so much of the lows in the meter. It's hearing the really, really low tones of my exhaust, and it was saying like 90 decibels, which at the time I was like, man, that's really loud, but it doesn't sound loud in this truck when I drive it. So I'm assuming that 90 decibels was because of the lows that this is capturing. And when I switched it over to A just a few minutes ago, it was like 20 decibels less. It was like down in the upper 60s to low 70s. So weighting A is where it should be, because that's where our human ear hears in that spectrum. And unfortunately, the gist of my little story here is that we don't have a before on the meter, unfortunately. We can take a meter reading at, the C level, but it's not going to really give us a good reading because it's gathering the very, very low end tones, of which are my exhaust, and it's not sound deadened back there. So it's gonna be pretty much the same. I already did it. It's saying like 85 to 90 decibels. That being said, and long story short, if I change it to weighting A, drive around, it's anywhere from 65 to I think even 75, depending on, hitting a bump or something like that. I think right around 70, 71, 72 is pretty much a good number. 66 decibels, and this is just idling with my electric fans running, which when those things shut off, it should be even quieter. So now let's drive around and let's see what this thing shows. Okay, so just driving around this neighborhood about 20, 25 miles an hour, on and off the gas. The meter's reading from about 65 to, like I was saying, about 72, 75, somewhere around there. So, I gotta say, guys, that's pretty quiet for a 1995 GMC Suburban with a big 5.7 liter V8 and a Flowmaster exhaust in the back. Well, how's that for an install? I have to say, it couldn't have went better. This is an older vehicle, so it was really easy for me just to rip the two seats out, rip the center console out and my little four-wheel drive shift knob, pull that carpet back and get going. It was definitely much easier to apply to the floor rather than the doors, being that I actually had a lot of room to use that roller and press the stuff down. But overall, I have to say, this stuff is very easy to work with. I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever. Matter of fact, I'm gonna buy more. I'll probably buy the 50 mil stuff next time just to give it a shot, but man, the difference on the in-cab sound is incredible. Also, I'm noticing that a lot of the sound that I hear now is coming from the back, the unprotected area. It really does seem like this stuff is soaking up a lot of the sound from the engine compartment and the tires. I don't really hear much sound coming from the front where it's been protected. That is awesome. On a difficulty scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the hardest, I'd probably give this about a 4. Not because it's hard to install, but it's actually hard to deconstruct the entire interior of your vehicle. I've got a big open Suburban, and it's 25 years old, so I didn't have to contend with a bunch of wiring and who knows what of today's vehicles. But if you've got a smaller, newer vehicle, I don't know, it might be a lot more difficult than it was for me. So therefore, I'm rating it a 4. It does take a heck of a lot of effort. So if you're on the fence as to whether or not you even want to attempt this, I would say, yeah, give it a shot. Start with your doors first. That's gonna be the easiest way to get into it, and you'll have the most immediate results, being that your music will sound much better. Also, as far as the product goes, it's the only one I've ever used, but hey, I thought it was excellent. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. Also subscribe if you're not already. I'm Jimmy. This channel is called One Road, and I will see you in the next one.